What is up, hotties? Welcome back to another episode of Stay Hot. I'm Bladen Kirk, joined as always by my two favorite co-hosts of all time, Matthew Sponhour and Theo Ash. And today we are welcoming back one of our esteemed guests in Nico A.K.A. EliteTakes to, hype up his Miami Dolphins, of course, but we'll talk about some other things. But we are going to talk about Thursday night Dolphins and Bengals, preview some of the week 4 games, choose a game of the week. We're going to do a rank it of school subjects, and then Matt and Theo and I, of course, will wrap things up with the Stay Hot locks. But before we get into that, how are you guys doing today? Nico, how are you doing? It's been a while since we've had you on.
Yeah, it's great to be back. I'm doing well.
I am doing all right. I don't have any complaints.
Oh, no.
I don't have any complaints.
No stoic moments for you, Theo? I feel like you always have something up your sleeve.
No, nothing interesting has happened to me at all. So I don't have it. I didn't do anything. There was actually there is one thing interesting story.
I knew it.
Today in the apartment complex, voice, I didn't even know they could do this, but like an intercom voice came on and was like, "There has been a report of an emergency. Please evacuate the building. Do not use the elevator." And I was like, "What? Who's talking right now? Like, why is there a voice in my room? Like, where is this speaker coming from?" So I'm like, well, I'm not going to stick around if there's a potential emergency, right? I'll leave. I was the only one who left. I left the building. No one else in the stairwell. I didn't see anyone else in the stairwell. No one was waiting outside. I felt like such a bitch, a coward, like literally being the only one evacuating my building. Like, oh, did everyone else just be like, oh, it's nothing and stay in? They must have. So, or they were all in class or something. I don't know. But then I went on a long walk. So that happened to me today where I just felt like, if it was just a fire alarm, I'd stay in because that's never anything. But like, since it was like legitimately a voice like telling me to leave, I'd be like, this is probably like a bomb threat or something. Nope, not one person outside. Not one person in the hallway. It was just a
voice in Theo's
head.
head.
Was that even real? I don't even know.
It came to him
was
in a
it
dream.
all in his head? I don't know. So I don't know. Well, I got my exercise in and I climbed a big hill and so that's my story from today.
Fair.
I think you should listen to the fire alarms. I feel like fire alarms are never nothing is something you say before dying in a building fire.
Depends on what it is, man. Like, I've got a certain vibe that I can tell when something's wrong. If the energy,
not much of a fire vibe.
When the fire alarm goes off, I look up, I look around, and I'm like, am I feeling that there's a fire anywhere? And like, sometimes it seems suspicious, and sometimes I'm like, there's nothing here.
There's nothing.
Did the fire alarm pass the Theo Ash fire?
Yeah, exactly. I think I'm very in tune to frequencies and vibrations, and I think I could sense if there's a fire or not.
Is that a 2K reference?
I don't even know who that is.
No, like...
Wait, what did you say?
He said frequency vibrations.
Yes, that actually is.
Like, freaking and vibing. Like,
you don't know about freak?
I remember that.
I'm glad Nico got that.
I have no idea who that is. So...
The comments will get it. Speaking of the YouTube comments, make sure you all subscribe to the YouTube and, of course, follow us on Instagram at StayHotBW. And if you haven't yet, make sure you go at StayHot on Snapchat. Maybe we'll add you back. Maybe we'll do like a stoic vlog. Maybe you'll see Theo like go down in a fire live on Snapchat.
There are a lot of Lions fans who are rooting for that outcome right now. So maybe you'll be like
posting Lions hate.
I literally go check out my Jeff Okuda video where I tell you that he's been pretty good. But
go subscribe and watch Theo's Jeff Okuda hype video. But anyway, let's just hop right in. Nico, the Bengals are gonna beat the Dolphins, right?
I beg to differ, I'm afraid.
The Dolphins look like a very formidable team right now. They just beat the Buffalo Bills. I mean, I have to get inside your head right now. I mean, you've got to feel like the most, violent fan right now. Like you're just ready to go run through a brick wall, right?
I've never had the opportunity to be this cocky, and I'm still kind of reserving it. I feel like it's a little too early in the season to get super cocky. I don't want to, jinx anything, but yes, this is probably the most superiority I've ever felt in my life as a Dolphins fan.
So I want to talk a little bit about how the Dolphins have been ranked across the power rankings that you see. ESPN had them at number 1. I believe that I think it's CBS where Mike Florio had them at number 1. Bladen has them at number 2 in his power rankings for FanDuel. Like, as a Dolphins fan, you're watching this team, and obviously they have the best record in the league, and they just beat what many people assumed were the best team in the league. Nico, do you think that these Dolphins are currently the team to beat, the best team, the Super Bowl favorites in the league right now?
I mean, I'd love to say so, but like, there's always that sort of logic in the back of my head, knowing that the Bills were banged up, and it wasn't really like, this isn't a long-term thing with the Bills. They just happened to have some guys out for this game, and like the way they looked like a juggernaut through the first 2 weeks, we still had to play their offense, but there is a little doubt on my mind that, you know, Tua hits that 50-yard deep shot if Jordan Poyer is on the field. I mean, there's a little doubt in my mind about that. I don't think we're number 1, but I would say that top 5 is fair.
Yeah, I would agree with that. What weaknesses, I guess, from the Dolphins and going into the Thursday night game, like what unit on this team are you the most worried about?
Probably the linebackers. I mean, Landon Roberts has been struggling big time. I mean, he literally gave up a free touchdown to Devin Singletary if you watch the first half of the Bills game. And Jerome Baker has been fine, but like, all the units across the board have been performing pretty well. I guess really Landon Roberts is like the one starter that's upsetting me right now.
Got the red dot on him.
Just one guy.
Yeah. I would still say Tua, honestly, if I was to have this answer. That I guess is the only thing where I'm like, I'm not totally sure that they have a legit like franchise quarterback even to this point. I mean, 3 halves of football ago, you made a video talking about how you're getting sick of defending him because he threw those 2 horrible picks in the first half of the Ravens game. Like, it wasn't that long ago that Tua was not playing well.
It wasn't.
Yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at with them is to put a team at number 1 with their quarterback situation. That is, like, he's been playing well these past 2 weeks. Like, don't get me wrong, but it's still he's played a lot of quarters of football. He's played a lot of halves of football in his career up to this point. And a lot of those, like, there hasn't been this long-term period of sustained success. But I mean, he was playing well in that Bills game. The shot to Waddle, I have no complaints with that throw. That was a 50+ yarder that was, you know, didn't flutter in the air. I didn't notice Waddle having to like come to a full stop to catch it underhand. Like I've seen some of these Tyreek Hill deep shots. So that was good. There was a zippy pass in the end zone. That was a tight window throw, I thought. And the Dolphins are one of the best teams in the red zone this season. I think they're top 10. They might even be higher than that. So they're definitely a legitimate team in my eyes. Probably not number 1. I probably wouldn't rank them above the Bills. But Bladen, I want to throw it to you. You did rank them above the Bills. You did say they were the number 2 team in the league behind the Philadelphia Eagles. Yeah. So explain to our Dolphins fans, guess why he's underrating the Dolphins right now, and they are in fact.
Well, I mean, we all know the Eagles are the best team in football, right? There's no doubt There's no doubt there, right? We're not even going to debate that. But I will say that, like, I look at like the Dolphins right now compared to the Ravens, who they were able to beat, because the Ravens have just a defense that for whatever reason is not in, like, they just don't have it. Like, I don't know what's going on with them. Their defense is just completely lapsing in, it looks like just mental like errors, like all the time. And then the Bills are pretty banged up right now. Their receivers were just like, was it like heat stroke on the field or something?
It was a lot of cramps. Okay. Yeah.
It was like they just couldn't handle the weather there. And that, I think, is probably on coaching to like not.
I mean, it's on coaching and it's on Florida and the way that stadium is designed, right? The way that stadium designed only gives one team shade.
So you just got to give props to Miami for
it's one of the best home field.
Keeping it
it's
hot.
One of the best home field advantages in the league is I think a Florida team in the early the early weeks of the season. Honestly, I don't think that it's necessarily like, oh, you weren't coached well enough. I think sometimes
it's not that like you weren't coached well enough, but like you have to be able to like manage the game better. Be like, okay, let's not have our receivers run 70 routes.
True.
Right.
Yes. That's fair.
Like that's the argument that I think there. And then like the Bills defense, Micah Hyde's out for the season. Trey White's out. Jordan Poyer's questionable and he didn't play last week. Ed Oliver's questionable, and then there was another guy I can't think of off the top of my head. That's Jordan Phillips is also questionable. So like there's a lot of injuries on that defense, and I'm like, this team when healthy is the best team like in the league right now. I have no doubt in my mind, but I think right now I would take the Dolphins over them.
It's hard to argue that when they just won the football game.
Yeah, and I mean they just won.
So yeah, it is hard to argue that the Dolphins are maybe the better team right now as it stands. But I guess if I were to like when I make power rankings, I'm like, if they played again next week, who would I bet on to win money line? And I'd probably bet on the Bills. That's kind of where
I might pick the Dolphins. I might pick the Dolphins again next week.
Yes, like if they were to play that game.
Where are we playing?
In 6 weeks.
Are we playing in Miami again?
Neutral field. You're playing in Jerry World in Dallas, like it's college football. And the roof is closed. So yeah, I certainly think that the Dolphins are a good team, and I'm quick to remind everyone that I did have them in the playoffs and winning 10 games this year. Even like Tua was not my only prediction and not the only player on the Miami Dolphins. So I think that they're a certified team. And like, congratulations to you as a fan for tasting this. Thank you for tasting this success.
It's truly an honor.
I think they're legit. I agree with Nico here that they're a high level team. They're going to be a really tough out, but are they like the Super Bowl favorites right now? I think that's who you got to put at number one on a power ranking is who you overall is think the team that's going to be standing at the very end is going to be. And to me, I think that is probably still the Bills and with the Eagles at number 2, maybe. I don't know though. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, or Matt, I didn't know.
Oh, I was just going to say the interesting thing about this is like, okay, Bills, Dolphins play again, but this time it's going to be at Buffalo in the middle of December. So it's going to be the exact opposite situation. I think it's kind of funny though that the Bills have built a team that really hates to run the ball and really doesn't like to put the ground on the ball, and that's their weakness. And they're going to have to play in Buffalo weather in December. That's their home field, you know.
They need AJ Dillon immediately.
The Winter Soldier.
They need AJ Dillon immediately.
They should send a first-round pick for AJ Dillon right now.
Stefon Diggs for AJ Dillon. Who says no? All right, that's where I'm at with this Bills team. But yeah, and then going to the Thursday night game. Obviously, that'll be tonight when this episode releases against the Bengals. The Bengals are 1-2 right now. A far cry from the 3-0 Miami Dolphins. So. Like, I don't know how much of the Bengals you've watched this year or where you've ranked them on your power rankings, Nico, but like, are your thoughts going into this game pretty confident that the 3-0 Bengals are leagues above the Bengals and this should be a pretty easy win for them?
Or maybe a better question is, when we do our Stay Hot locks later this episode, should we lock the Dolphins to beat the Bengals?
Or do you think
I don't think so.
The Bengals, like with their win last week against a Jets team, do you think that's kind of the beginning of a pretty strong bounce back for them?
I mean, I think with the Bengals, I have gone a little lower on them. I've tempered my expectations. Preseason, I was thinking, this might be like an 11-6 potential AFC championship team, maybe not the Super Bowl favorite. And now I'm just thinking, they could win 9 or 10 games and, sneak into the wild card. The offensive line has still been struggling. I mean, Jets, Quinnen Williams was going off last week, but Joe Burrow was actually pretty good against the blitz, and that's the reason why they were able to win that game. But I would say the Dolphins are the better team. I don't think it's an easy out for us, especially with those new Bengals uniforms, man. We got to talk about those.
Look good, play good.
Look good, play good.
The Bengals are 4-point favorites in this game.
Wow.
That's a little ridiculous.
Really?
That is...
Money line is plus 175 for the Dolphins. That is not
That is good value. Dolphins plus 4 right now.
Wow.
I would say is pretty
That's
good value.
extremely good value. I think the Dolphins can win this one kind of easily, to be honest with you. Like
the Bengals offensive line is just so bad, and Burrow runs into sacks, and it just makes it so tough to get that offense going consistently unless they fix it.
Listen, all I'm saying is the Bills lined up against like effectively a 9-man front from the Miami Dolphins. If Joe Burrow lines up and there are just 9 guys in the box,
cover -1.
I'm sorry, that play is not ending in a touchdown the way the Bills one did. I don't think.
Yeah, and I think that the Bengals offensive line has arguably been worse than it was through this point last year. I mean, obviously in the Super Bowl run they were horrible because Riley Reif was hurt, and they had Akeem Adeniji and Jackson Carman like switching off. But that's not the way it was at the beginning of the season. And in fact, last year, if you look at the adjusted line yards, which is kind of the yards that Joe Mixon or whoever the running back runs before contact, last year the Cincinnati Bengals were not a horrible run blocking team. They were 15th in the league in adjusted line yards at 4.4 about. This year, they're 28th in the league, so they're not even run blocking at the level they were last year, and they haven't been able to move the ball. Meanwhile, the Dolphins have one of the best, if you look at the opposite end of the spectrum, defensive line yards, which is just like how far you're pushing the line forward or avoiding getting pushed back. They're one of the best defensive lines when it comes to like getting push, and so you've got this huge mismatch in the trenches by like every metric, right? The Dolphins, I'm not totally sure where they rank in I probably can check where they rank in pressure rate this year, but last year they were the number 1 team in the league, and they were really getting after Josh Allen and the Bills in the last game. I know that Ogba looked pretty good, and Christian Wilkins, they've all looked pretty nice so far this year. So it's just like a mismatch in the trenches, really. And if you look at the quarterback situation and the wide receiver situation, like that honestly might be a little bit of a wash. Obviously, Burrow, I think, is better than Tua at this point. I think we'd all say that. But when you look at the weapons and the way that the teams have been moving up and down the field, like it's about even. And the coaching, like I would give that nod to the Dolphins. And the defense, I would give the defensive nod to the Dolphins as well. So like, Joe Burrow, I don't think they're going to be able to run the ball on this Dolphins team because of what I just said. And then you're just going to need a Burrow masterclass, right? You're going to need him you're going to need to make that Dolphins. Obviously, the Dolphins love to blitz, right? That's their whole thing. So, we know that he can tear up a blitz, and that's what he's going to have to do. So that's the key to victory, and he's capable of doing it. But I just think in all phases of the game, the Dolphins have definitely looked better than the Bengals this year. And even for long stretches of like what we saw from the Bengals last year, this Dolphins team, if last year's Bengals team met this current Dolphins team in the playoffs, I think even that would be like a very fair fight. And this Bengals team is, I think, worse than the one we saw last year, or at least more predictable than the one we saw last year in just a little bit.
It's not performing
as well. So I don't know. That's a bet that I think I'll be making, is basically what I'm saying.
Well, there's some other things to consider. Like the Dolphins are on a short week.
Yes.
And they're having like problems with the planes and stuff. They've just landed in Cincinnati. In fact, I'm looking at my phone. They're practicing in Nippert Stadium right now.
Can you look out the window you could look out the window?
No, I'm looking at Paul Brown. But yes, they're playing. I just walked by Nippert Stadium 30 minutes ago, like an hour.
Go get the vibe of the team.
Oh my gosh.
Immediately.
Go get the vibe check. We need the spawn hour vibe check.
Get the unauthorized drone above the stadium and see what you can see for this few seconds.
If we weren't recording right now, I'd walk right there. I could go sit and watch them. You can just walk in. So it's
easy.
I think it's interesting that
is he going to pull a Bill Belichick right now?
Oh yeah, I'll get my binoculars out, zoom in on the playbook. Bengals by 14.
That's me in the summer league with my binoculars and zooming in. Do you remember that tweet?
Remember when you stole the
Cardinals playbook, and that was taken down by TikTok. So just don't say devious lick when you post it. But
I forgot all about that.
I'm still mad about that, man. That's
That was a great
That is my
video.
white
That
whale.
was quality
That
content.
That had got to like 15,000 views in like 2 minutes. Was me outside of Glendale Stadium waving around the Cardinals offensive install saying I got their playbook. And then to have the Packers won that game. And that was my whole thing because they were so hurt is, I'm going to steal the playbook, give it to AJ Dillon on TikTok, and then they're going to win the game. That was my whole plot line. And the Packers, who were heavy underdogs against the 7-0 Cardinals at the time, they ended up winning that game. That would have been an elite plot line and would have gone down in the all-time lore. But because I said devious lick, Nico, I want to ask you about devious licks. As you're in high school, do you remember this era? Because my sister was in high school during the devious lick era, and she told me that people were stealing like shit out of the bathrooms and like setting off the fire extinguisher in the auditorium. Was this happening at your high school last year? Was it really wreaking that much havoc across the American school system?
I think I actually remember there was an email sent out by my school. Like the minute that became a trend, they sent an email and said, we are not tolerating any of that. So I never actually saw it happen for myself.
Did you make any devious licks?
In the spirit of devious
No,
licks.
I wasn't going to risk it.
Well,
In the spirit.
principal might
Unless
see
it's
this,
the
so you can't
Cincinnati
say.
Bengals playbook. That's the only thing that I would consider confiscating from my school in Houston. So that would work.
They don't have.
Anyway,
I'm afraid.
Matt, so you were making the argument maybe for the Bengals here.
And they're coming off this brutal game. It's like I'm just saying, like there definitely are a few things working against them because of the weird flight stuff with the hurricanes down there. So some other things to keep in mind. But I do think it's a little crazy. It's like Dolphins undefeated. It's like give them a little bit of respect. The Bengals have looked bad this year so far on offense. Their defense has been very good this year, though.
Yeah, they turned it around a little bit in the last game, and I really think like it was a welcome sight for the blitz for Burrow. Like I legitimately think that he was like, oh, thank God they're blitzing me, and I don't have to try to force. Like when I try to force it, it's not into a bunch of quarter zone coverage because he was throwing a bunch of picks and taking a bunch of sacks, holding on to the ball. So I actually think it's a little counterintuitive, like blitzing Burrow. He's probably like, oh, thank God. And so the Dolphins do.
Yeah, and
that,
that's what
so
I'm thinking.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Nico, what do you think?
Like what I'm thinking is, are we going to put Nick Needham on an island with Jamar Chase or T. Higgins? Are we going to be throwing all of this cover zero at Joe Burrow and putting Nick Needham, who actually did a pretty good job against Gabe Davis last week, but I don't really trust him out there? Or would you rather sit back in those two high looks and maybe bracket one of those two guys? That's my question.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that's a very interesting question for the philosophy of the Dolphins defense and like what they can do going forward, because I feel like in the past they've been a bit of a one-trick pony, and it's a very good trick, but it is like sometimes the opponent you're facing calls for a change in strategy. This has been the defensive coordinator for a long time, so I'll have to go back and look. I wish I did this before the podcast on how they've played guys like Burrow or guys like Rodgers or Mahomes or Brady in the past. These guys who can shred a blitz. So I'm not totally sure what to expect from them. I would like to think like they don't just give them the answers, because right now, we know what the Bengals are good and bad at the moment. So it'll be interesting if and we know what the Dolphins are really good at. So will it be good on good? Will they say beat our best stuff with your best stuff, or will they try to change it up? And if they could change it up and win this game without the massive blitzes that Boyer has been like in a cave scheming up for all summer, like that'll be a very encouraging sign for the Dolphins, I think. And it would be like Matt was saying, it'll definitely be a good sign, because the Bills game could be a little bit like their Super Bowl, I suppose, right? Where they won that game and then in the mic'd up after the game.
Yeah.
After the game, like not Josh McDaniels. Sorry, that's insulting. Mike McDaniel is like, go enjoy this one tonight. Maybe they enjoyed that one tonight. They're in Miami a little bit too much. I don't know, but I could definitely see a world where that happens. I suppose
I think was it Butler for the Heat that was like living in Miami is like an advantage, because when other teams come to Miami, it's like a vacation for them. But
I think
we live this life, so it's like it's nothing exciting for us to go out and party.
Well, Jimmy Butler is a
up
crazy
every night.
person who could be a
I don't remember if it
military
was Butler, but I remember
general in an.
He wakes up at 3 a.m. He kicks the sheets
Are
that
all the
early.
Dolphins players like that? Are wired like Jimmy Butler? You know,
when Jimmy Butler's feet hits the ground, the devil says, "Oh
yeah,
shit, he's up."
crazy. He's a crazy guy. So we'll see. We'll see. I could definitely see there being a little.
Cincinnati's a lot like that too.
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see. I would still bet on the Dolphins, but I could definitely see a little bit of a hangover happening. And I would guess in this game, I think they're going to blitz Burrow. I think they're going to say this is a bad offensive line. He's taken how many sacks this year? We're going to heat him up and fuck it. I think that's what the mentality of this Dolphins team is. I think that's their identity, and I think that's what they're going to continue to do. And I guess Burrow can't beat that pretty well. So maybe it's not just as easy as, that they'll win the trenches, they'll win the game. But yeah, I'm excited for it. The Thursday night matchups.
It's going to be a good
Thursday
one.
night matchups. They're 3 for 4 right now. There've been 3 good ones and 1 bad one. Sorry, Bladen.
What's the bad one?
Oh, you don't know?
Well, it's not the Browns Steelers. That was like game of the year.
Oh, what is it? Not Browns Steelers? I must consult my notes. But yeah, I'm glad that we're actually getting some decent Thursday night football games so far this year. What do you guys think of the Amazon broadcast of Thursday night football? We have any thoughts on how they're doing?
It's all right. I don't know. The only thing that really bothers me about it is that I'll turn on my TV, I'll look, I'll be like, where's the Thursday night game? And I'll be like, oh, I have to go to Amazon to watch it. But outside of that, I don't know.
Yeah, I tried to find it at a sports bar a couple weeks ago, and like none of them had it like playing at sports bars because none had. Like, so then I had to go to
video.
And then the one I found it playing at was like there was some frat event going on there, and there was a bunch of dudes in suits. Looked like a Minions Rise of Gru showing in there. I don't want to go in there.
Yeah. The only thing I will say is like it takes a little bit of like overall interest out of the game. Like I'll go on Twitter and I'll be like, not that many people are watching this game right now. So that's my only gripe with it.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Oh, I guess I didn't think about that. It's harder. Nah, you just got to go to Stream East, man.
Stream East.
Crack streams.
Methstreams.com, the classic. Has never given anybody's computer a virus, but
Never.
Should we talk about game of the week?
I think we should hop into our games of the week. Nico, as our guest, will let you have first stab at your game of the week. Your favorite game to watch. You could pick the Dolphins.
Don't do that. We just talked. I don't have anything more to say.
Yeah,
You're
I won't do that.
You're forbidden.
Even though it might be the game of the week. But I'm going to go with Jags at Eagles, man. I think that is a really intriguing matchup between two upstart teams. One I expected to kind of be this good, and the other I don't think anyone expected to be this encouraging, besides maybe that one random dude that bet my bad, Jaguars to the playoffs plus what, 3,000?
Was it that
whatever.
much? God damn, I feel like such a dumbass liking Trevor Lawrence as much as I did.
Nico,
I was a simp for Matt Ryan out of all people, so I never would have made that bet for them to win that
I had
division.
the Titans winning
I'm
that
gonna
division,
give Theo,
so, kill me.
Theo deserves some credit. He did hype up the Jags all off season. He just didn't have the guts to say they would win the division.
You're right. I did. I liked them a lot, and I've been sticking by my boy, the golden-haired angel, Trevor Lawrence. But I didn't think they'd be quite playoff caliber.
Yeah.
But yes, I agree. I also think that's game of the week. But what are you looking for, and who do you think can prevail in this one, and how?
I'm really looking forward to the Jags defense. They've been really good, man. I mean, week 1 wasn't great. I mean, they kind of choked down the stretch with those big touchdowns to Terry McLaurin and Jahan Dotson. But I mean, what they did last week and just kind of got Justin Herbert all of these 3-and-outs, and the way they completely shut the Colts out, I think it's very impressive. And Travon Walker, the guy who we were giving bust allegations before he was even drafted, is kind of looking like the best rookie defensive player. So I'm excited to see if maybe they can get some pressure against one of the best defensive lines in the league, and how Jalen Hurts will respond to that, because he's been getting some really good protection so far.
Yeah, it's an all demons defense. Like they have stockpiled these freaks on the edge, and Devin Lloyd's kind of I wouldn't say that he's an athletic monster. He's not like a freak athlete, but he's a freak kind of body type too. It's just like a bunch of like Trayvon Walker is so good. Like that, the people I've seen as I've fought my Aiden Hutchinson wars, like people showing his pressure stats or pass rush win rate right now. Like I don't care, dude. Like you watch that dude move and you watch that dude like blow shit up and force the running backs in the other direction. Like he is a freak. Josh Allen, need him to have a big week so he get the double Josh Allen MVP Defensive Player of the Year narratives going. But yeah, I'm also very interested to see. This is a very much a good on good offensive line versus defensive line. And
it's just freaks all across the
which
board.
one prevails there. And this is probably the best secondary that the Jaguars have played. Week 1 was William Jackson and the Washington Commanders. Week 2 was the Colts, and then week 3 was a depleted Chargers team without JC Jackson. So to get Jarius Slay and Bradbury and all these guys, we'll see if Trevor Lawrence can keep it up, because I believe him and Tua are like the 2 top quarterbacks in the league in total EPA right now or something like that, which is crazy. It's crazy, but well, at least
I mean, I mean, this whole
Sunshine State,
this whole matchup is,
and the Doug Peterson revenge game, you know.
Yeah, it's like Doug Peterson.
Oh yeah, that's true.
This is the perfect game. This is like truly the perfect game.
Doesn't get better than Eagles Jaguars week 4.
It doesn't get better.
The man that sabotaged
1 o'clock Eagles Jags.
Yeah, 10 a.m. Eagles Jags week 4. This is what it's all about. I'm going to take the Jaguars to win this game. I think they really make a statement. I think the Eagles are one of the best teams in the NFC, and I think that they're an amazing team, like very well built. But I don't think they reach 4-0. I think there's a lot of parity in this league. And I think that they don't make it through the month of September undefeated. I guess that's my hot take. I feel like maybe the Dolphins are the only team that does. But I think the Jaguars really have the horsepower to make Jalen Hurts nervous. And I think that maybe he plays the worst game that he's played so far against that front 7. So I'm going to pick an upset here, and I'm going to say the Jaguars and that goblin front 7 with all their stunts give this Eagles offensive line some issues that they haven't quite seen yet, and Hurts hasn't quite seen yet, and it rattles them to the point where the Jaguars and Doug Peterson and the Jaguars can win this game. So that's where I'm at.
It's not an unthinkable scenario. I remember the last game Jalen Hurts played last season was in the playoffs against the Buccaneers, and the pressure that he faced in that game was not something that he was really able to handle then. So, it's not unthinkable that he can't handle it this time around. I'm still going to take the Eagles just because it's like, even if Hurts is a little bit rattled, I think A.J. Brown, Dallas Goedert, and Devontae Smith can bail him out a little bit. And the run game is so good. I just think they can mix things up so well that you have to stay honest. If you're Jacksonville, you can't just go balls to the wall blitzing every single play and just be ferocious. You have to be a little bit more disciplined with this team. So that might be the one thing that keeps them in check, is just how balanced the Eagles are.
Yeah. We're also about to get we're going to need a pocket presence masterclass from Trevor Lawrence. The Eagles front 7 had 9 sacks last week against a guy who will never give you a pocket presence masterclass in Carson Wentz. I still think back to the Jaguars offensive line has been a little bit up and down. I think they played very well against the Colts week 2. They played all right against the Chargers week 3, but they were kind of a mess week 1 against Washington. So we'll see what kind of performance they deliver. Lawrence has taken like 3 hits all year or something crazy like that. Like he just has not gotten hit because he's just so good at moving around. And I think we're going to look at Hurts and we're going to look at Lawrence, not to just make it all about the quarterbacks, but we're going to see a little bit of a disparity and maybe calmness and poise. And we're going to say, Lawrence really is that guy, I think. And I think that could be clear when you look at his pocket movement in this game versus what we could see from Hurts. But who knows? Hurts has been playing very well, so I don't want to come out here and slander Hurts. But I'm going to pick the upset.
Yeah, I mean, it's a 6.5 point upset. Eagles are favored by 6.5.
Yeah.
So
I think people
pretty wild.
I think that Vegas, I mean, the Jaguars are still Jacksonville, and I think that people are there's a little bit of a Jacksonville tax that people are going to have to get caught up on, but this is just a legitimately very good team in my opinion. So
yeah, good team, good game. I'm excited. That was going to be my game of the week. So I'm
sorry, Bladen.
Yeah, I hate you actually. No,
I stole your king.
Bladen, what is your game of the week then?
Other than Jags Eagles,
yes,
I would probably have to say, Bills Ravens. I'm excited. I want to see Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson go throw for throw. I mean, they've both been playing really well so far this season. Even last week, in a loss, like Josh Allen still had some really, really nice plays. And actually, I thought handled the Dolphins blitz with a decent amount of calmness. That's not something that we normally think about when we think of Josh Allen, but I thought he played pretty well. Lamar Jackson has straight up been the MVP of the league, and I want to see how he has. So I want to see those two go throw for throw. I want to see how Lamar looks against even an injured Bills defense. I still want to see how he can look against this unit. He's just been phenomenal, and I think those two are going to be just an absolute blast to watch. Josh Allen might just absolutely shred the way Baltimore's defense has looked so far this year. It has not looked.
I think you're underrating Baltimore's defense.
Am I underrating?
You think that they suck ass?
I don't think that they suck. They just. I mean, they had, I guess, the two really nice interceptions Marcus Williams did against Tua. And then Marlon Humphrey had a really nice play.
Humphrey has been good. I think their safeties have been good. Outside of some dumb mental errors, the safeties have been good.
That's the thing, is like they just make some dumb mental errors.
But I think as time goes on and as the weeks go on, I think that you can trust this Bengals. I don't think that this Ravens defense is necessarily a bad unit when you look at all the pieces they've got. I wish they had a better linebacker. I wish they had a better edge rusher, but it's not this unit that's like, oh, they're going to get torched. I feel like I got to give them some respect.
I guess that's fair.
In that sense, where yes, there have been some communication issues. Yes, sometimes they're trying to do a bit too much. Yes, they kind of beat themselves down the stretch because of miscommunications against the Dolphins. But I don't think they're this like liability type of unit.
But so you can't afford any of those errors against Josh Allen.
That's true.
Like at all. Like you can maybe afford a couple against the Dolphins, and even a couple against the Dolphins.
How many can you afford?
What's the conversion rate here?
You can afford one against Josh Allen.
One.
You can afford
two. It's over.
Two, it's over.
Three against Tua.
Yes.
I like Bills. Bills Ravens. I think is going to be a fun matchup. Bills are favored by 3. I might pick Lamar Jackson to just continue to be the MVP of the league and get a nice win against the Bills here. But we'll see. Both teams that lost to the Miami Dolphins. So.
The Miami, worse than Miami Dolphins Bowl. I think the key to this game.
There we go.
I'm really interested to see how the Bills rebound and how they kind of reset themselves after a game where Josh Allen dropped back basically an NFL record 71 times last year is the stat I saw. It's like the most in recorded history that people can find. So like, what are they going to, like, how are they going to rebound? Are they going to come out more balanced? Are they going to commit more to running the football a little bit? Or are they going to do what they've done for the past 3 years and their passing rate's going to continue to be about 75%, and Josh Allen is going to drop back like a ton again? And is that just going to be their identity? We saw Ken Dorsey freak the fuck out on the sidelines or up in the box.
Yeah, it's like broke his
headphones and all that. I saw some horrible takes about that. Is fine.
Yeah, that was like
I just thought it was funny.
It was just funny,
it was funny. Like, this guy needs to calm down. Like,
what a bad look.
It's football. Football's not a calm sport.
Shame on you for being competitive.
We're talking about professional competitors here. Like, I'm sure there's been plenty of holes punched in walls up in the press box and whatnot. I mean, it is what it is. I wouldn't have reacted that way, but I'm also like not you've got to be a psychopath to be in the NFL. Like you have to be, and I'm not that psychotic.
To be good in the NFL, you have to be a psychopath.
If he was like punching his like tight ends coach and being like,
he had like broken the window or
like
something,
beating up the
quarterbacks
coach and like, what the fuck, quarterbacks coach? Why did you? Then I'd be like, that's a problem. But if he's just going to town on the play calling sheet, like, all right, whatever.
Well, and the iPad, $1,000 tablet.
It doesn't matter.
Like,
quarterbacks do that. Like Aaron Rodgers is going to do that eight or 9 times this year.
Tom Brady with the Surface
throwing
tablet.
to Christian Watson. Like it's good. Yeah, it's and Tom Brady. Yeah, he's gonna do more. That shouldn't make the joke, but he's gonna do a lot of damage to the tablets down in Tampa Bay. But
that's a lot of damage.
Yeah. So anyway, with that whole outburst and the obvious frustration with how the game went last week, I'm very interested to see if the Bills come out and are a little bit more balanced next week, but I'm not so sure they would be because identity's identity. And teams kind of do what they do. So we'll see.
Do you think the Bills have any source right now to be able to stop Lamar Jackson?
I think they do. I think that their linebacker duo of Matt Milano and Tremaine Edmonds are athletic. Tremaine Edmonds is only 24 years old. He hasn't been playing
He's only 19.
He hasn't been playing quite as bad as I feel like he has played in the past. And Milano is really underrated, a really smart linebacker who you almost always plays with like the proper depth and coverage and plays with really good eyes and instincts. So I think that they've got the combination of smarts and athleticism in the linebacking core where they can put eyes on Lamar. They're a team that's identity is zone coverage. They're not a team with a very depleted secondary that's going to line up and play man on you. So they're going to be playing a lot of zone coverage. They're going to have eyes on Lamar. And they're not a team that blitzes Lamar a whole lot, which is something that Lamar has been torching to like an incredible degree this year after struggling with it last year. Yeah. So I do think that the Bills still have the personnel. I think they still have the guys to defend this Ravens offense. And I would project a Bills victory here. Despite the fact that I like Lamar a lot and I like the Ravens a lot, but I think that the Bills can bounce back this week, get a little bit more balanced and look a little bit more like they looked the first 2 weeks of the season. So I'm saying Bills win.
Fair enough. I'm taking Ravens. Matt, what is your game of the week?
Chiefs, Buccaneers. I think both those teams have pretty big problems that you're going to have to work through. The Tampa Bay offense has been really bad, so I'm interested to see if they can rebound here a little bit. And the Chiefs' offensive line hasn't been that good. And now they're going up against a very good Tampa Bay front seven and a very good Tampa Bay defense. If either of these teams go to 2-2, you're like, whoa.
Right.
We got to – and these would be – I mean, Tampa lost last, so these would be back-to-back losses for both these teams, assuming, if they were to lose. So,
they could tie.
Or they could tie.
That's true.
Which is
That's true.
What
it
I'm
would be beautiful.
For.
The optimal –
I just can't stand to watch either of these teams lose, so I'm hoping they tie. No, but I just think they're major contenders with major problems, and I want to see more of them to see how those things pan out.
Yes, the Buccaneers, I'm glad they're getting Mike Evans and Julio back so we don't have to watch them suffer through a game where Tom Brady has 2 air yards per attempt trying to throw to Rashad Perriman and Scotty Miller like last week. Jesus Christ, that was brutal. So I think the Chiefs defense is going to be up to the challenge, though. Like, I think that the Chiefs defense has been very much a pleasant surprise after losing some guys in the secondary. George Karlaftis has come in and make an impact. Chris Jones is playing really well. They've got the line. Like, overall, they've been one of the better defenses in the league, I would say, over the first 3 weeks. And against a struggling Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense, I trust the Chiefs offense with Mahomes, even despite that offensive line, to beat the Buccaneers defense more than actually I trust the Buccaneers offense at this point to beat the Chiefs defense. So I agree that these are 2 Super Bowl contenders and one of them is going to be 500 after this. So it's a very intriguing matchup. I got the Chiefs. I don't know about you guys.
I'll probably take the Chiefs.
Okay. And we might be getting the Theo's hypothetical or the college football bowl, where it gets moved from Tampa to Minnesota.
Are they playing in Minnesota?
Yeah.
The home state?
US
Oh,
Bank.
yeah, because of the hurricane.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Why U.S. Bank of all facilities?
I mean, are we
I
complaining?
don't know. I
Like,
bet
US
I've
Bank
actually
Stadium, man.
Sunday night and
I bank with US Bank.
I have attended football games at U.S. Bank Stadium, and it's all right. It did all right for it was better than the Metrodome. Fuck the Metrodome. It was better than the Metrodome while they were waiting for their big Jawa sand cruiser to get built over in downtown Minneapolis. But yeah, I agree. I agree that that's probably mine. I'm gonna say Jets Steelers. Only because Zach Wilson is coming
Wow.
back and all the other games
yeah.
this week. I guess 49ers, Rams, there's some other good ones, but I am excited to see the return of Zach Wilson. I am excited to see if they continue to throw it 50 times a game. I'm willing to bet they don't. I don't think they like Zach Wilson. I don't think they love Zach Wilson like that. I don't know why they love Joe Flacco like that, but I mean, we saw Saleh say that Flacco should be a starter in this league, and Flacco did all right for himself for the first 3 weeks. You know, it wasn't the dead last worst offense in the league, I suppose. So, and Flacco, considering the state of all the other quarterbacks this year who have played poorly, Flacco, I suppose, did all right for himself in the absence. And I think there's a very real chance. I'm kind of morbidly hoping for a Zach Wilson disaster class, so they have some decisions to make with Flacco and Zach Wilson going forward. And but I think they're going to attempt way fewer passes with Zach Wilson because I don't think they totally trust him like they trust Flacco. So that opens up, Breece Hall, that opens up Michael Carter, and I think that could make for some fantasy storylines going forward. I'm excited to see Wilson himself, and if he plays well, that's good for our boy Garrett Wilson. Although I know he was hurt in the last game, I'm not sure if he's playing.
So he did end up coming back.
Did he in that game?
Really?
Yeah, he came back in the game.
I turned off that game because it was the Jets, and they looked like they were going to lose.
I was surprised because it looked like he hurt his ribs.
Yeah, it looked like he hurt his ribs pretty bad. But I guess rib injuries aren't shit, is what we've learned over the past 2 weeks in the NFL. Is they aren't that bad and they aren't that painful, and anyone can overcome them. But yeah, Zach Wilson.
Sure.
Not a very big Zach Wilson fan, but I am morbidly curious to see how he looks against the Steelers defense, which honestly has not been that good over the past 2 weeks. So that might not even be a thing. And the clock is ticking on Kenny Pickett, I think. I think soon Mitch Trubisky is going to be back. Mitch Trubisky sucks ass. He's horrible. And he's the worst. We talked about this in the last episode, that he's the worst starting quarterback in the league. So I'm hoping that we see a Pickett versus Zach Wilson bull. And it saves.
That would be
saves
fun.
The.
You think Trubisky gets benched in this game?
I don't know.
It could happen.
This is when I would.
No, I don't
start
think they
Pickett
would.
in this game. I mean, what's a better time to start Pickett? Right? It's the Jets. They're not that scary. Trubisky doesn't have it. What is he learning from Trubisky right now? What is he? I get sitting a quarterback.
What not to do?
How to ignore every wide open receiver. He's learning the ways.
Do as I say, not as I do. Type.
I don't think it's a red flag when a quarterback sits a whole year. I really don't think. So many of the great quarterbacks from this era have done it, so it's not necessarily bad. But I'd like to see it done behind an established starter like an Alex Smith or a Brett Favre or someone. Even a Jimmy Garoppolo, someone that you've made deep playoff runs with that you don't want to just get rid of immediately, and you feel comfortable with piloting the offense. Mitch Trubisky is not a guy like that. Mitch Trubisky is a middling, not even a middling. He's a middling backup, not a middling starter. He's just a horrible starter that you brought in. At the same time, you brought in Pickett. I mean, you should have pretty much equal loyalty to both of them. And, you don't know which one can operate an offense smoother. So I would start Pickett right here, right now. What's the point? Let's have some trial by fire. You're 1-2. You've looked bad. The offense has looked horrible. There's a lot of frustration from the skill position players about how the way things have gone. They're vocally frustrated with Matt Canada's offense and the way Trubisky has been playing. So let's shake it up a little bit and let's see Kenny Pickett. That's where I'm at with the Steelers. I don't want to see any more Mitch Trubisky. And I think if he has a disaster class first half, I think it's possible. Like, what better time than now for for Kenny Pickett? So I'm crossing my fingers, hoping for the Zach Wilson Kenny Pickett Bowl, and that's going to be my horrible game of the week. Is Jets versus Steelers. Horrible game of the week. But a lot of the other good options have been taken away from us. So,
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, that brings us around to ranking school subjects. This is the rank it of the week via our chalkboard chat. If you're not in the chalkboard, make sure you click the link in the description of the YouTube or in the link of any of our social bios. Download the chalkboard app and join the chalkboard channel. Stay hot. Today we're ranking school subjects, and it's just like the 5 main ones. We're not going to elaborate too much. Like if it's science, it's science. It's not biology or chemistry. It's
all encapsulating. Right. And the 5 are, to be clear, arts. So like an art class, a choir, a band, an orchestra. I think that's all under the arts blanket.
Yeah.
Math, science,
what about gym? What about PE?
English.
Gym.
Yeah.
What about lunch?
Recess is my favorite class. History and science. Wait. I got thrown off track, but I think
math, English, science, arts, and history.
Okay,
those are the 5.
There you go.
Nico, why don't you start since you're currently in high school and still have a school curriculum that really requires all of these things?
I mean, I'm going to be honest. My school does like languages instead of art. So I'm currently taking Spanish. So I guess I'll go by that. I haven't really taken an art class in a while. But I'm going to put history at number 1. I'm not a history buff by any means, but I think it's the most understandable subject. I think it's the most interesting subject, and I think it's probably the most applicable subject to daily life. I mean, politics and all of that. I think it's interesting.
I'd say that's a solid rationale, I would say.
Number 2, probably gonna go with, arts or language. I took some fun ceramics classes in middle school and all of that. I think those ceramics are all
class
interesting.
For middle school is pretty high level.
We took some crazy.
Yeah, it wasn't too high level.
I was thinking about this the other day. In middle school, they had us do a woodworking class, and they gave us a buzzsaw and said make a clock. And I was like, I can't believe they did that shit.
My brother in Christ. If I found out that my little sister, she is in 6th grade now. If I found out that she was using a buzzsaw in class, I think I would flip shit.
It was high level machinery. We were building legit shit in middle school. So I don't know.
They had you crafting.
They had me crafting. Literally,
no one sawed their finger off.
On the first day, I cut my finger on a drill bit, and my teacher, shout out Mr. Taggart. It wasn't running. I was just checking how sharp it was. It was pretty sharp. And he's like,
spoiler alert,
knock that shit off and never do it again. So, and then I never had a problem after that. It wasn't a deep cut or anything. I was just and then tore my finger a little bit. But anyway, I was actually thinking about this yesterday. I'm like, I can't believe they had us running buzzsaws, making clocks and stuff in middle school. High school, I would understand. But anyway, that just reminded me of it. Go on, Nico. This is not my time.
All right. Number 3, I'm going to go with maybe the most controversial one. I think everyone either loves or hates English, and I'm just kind of in the middle on it because some people will say it's not a real class. Other people will say that they love to write. I'm not a huge reader, but I do enjoy writing. Obviously, that kind of applies to what we all do. Yes. And I guess my big hot take is that science and maths are not good. I hate science especially, and I know that's gonna piss off Bladen because
why is that gonna piss?
Computer science, that's math and science.
No. See, you've got me fucked up here. You've got me all messed up, man.
This is a record for most swear words on the podcast, and that always happens when we bring the kid on. Anyway, go ahead.
God.
Anyway, keep going. Nah. I've sworn the most, but anyway. Sorry.
Okay.
Anyway.
Okay, maybe I'm gonna put math at 4.
Science at 5 is crazy.
It's not good.
What science are you in right now?
I'm taking physics.
Ass. That is.
I mean,
correct.
like,
the point.
I have actually not hated physics so far. I actually really like my teacher, but in the past, biology is the best science class. What?
Yes, dude.
No, it's
Wait,
just
Matt,
a bunch
who
of
did you have for bio?
Oh, I cannot remember his name. He was super tall.
What?
He was super tall.
Theo. It's me.
Super tall? What?
Yeah, he was super tall. One of the science teachers at our school was like
he was
6'9".
No, there was not. No, there.
You went to a Cavs.
Yes,
you
there
went
was.
to a Cavs game and got confused, man.
I am not making this up. I'll look this up.
LeBron. Listen.
He played D3. I remember talking to them. What you're thinking of is my chemistry teacher, whose name was Mr. Boron.
Mr. Boron. I remember Mr. Boron.
That's a crazy name for a science teacher.
I know, it's
for
unbelievable.
a chemistry teacher.
Yeah, for a chemistry teacher, that's unreal.
Come on, man.
That is insane. You know what? I guess I'll make.
No, I mean, what you think is what you think. You're just wrong.
I mean, like
Chemistry
there are
sucks.
certain parts of science that I enjoy, but I've just never really had like the common sense for it. Like I feel like there are all these kids that can just go in there and know what they're talking about, and I never know what I'm talking about in science class. So it's been a little intimidating for me always.
No, I get
Matt,
that.
what is your ranking of the top 5? Where do you rank science?
All right, number 5 is math. Math sucks. Math is
Get
the
off the
least
call,
likely
leave.
class to be interesting.
Nah, leave,
Absolutely.
bro.
But like when you get in a flow with like solving equations, I think it can kind of get
that stopped
fun.
around
Like,
7th grade for me. So math is last. The classic, like, oh, I hate math class. That's me, man.
I'm a math minor, so.
And like of all your classes, like you're never doing something interesting in math. You're always like worksheet. I'm doing equations.
well, that's true. That's true. There's no like big lab or anything.
Number 4, I'll go
Project.
English. I just can't write to save my life. I hate writing. The reading was okay for the most part. Like most of the books you read in high school are not bad, but I just can't write. It's just not my interest.
Matt, haven't you written like
on
several
the opposite
sports
side of
articles? Like,
I've written a few sports articles, but they didn't let me write about like Chris Paul being a top 5 NBA player in English. Or
If only,
Yeah, that's
if only I could preach
Top
the
5.
Jalen Waddle gospel from my English paper.
I know we were supposed
my
to.
scouting report for Willie Beavers.
Here's why I think
My essay.
I
Why Lord of the
know we were
Flies
supposed
was
to
like-
write about of mice and men, but Chris Paul's a top 5 point guard in NBA history, so I wrote about that instead of it. No, and number 3, I have probably art. If this was languages, would be last. I terrible at French.
Really?
Oh yeah, dude.
Oh, well,
I'm
Spanish is way better than French. I don't know why you chose that in the first place.
I don't know, because my brother took French and he knew the teacher, and the teacher was nice, which was true. But then you get a different teacher after that because you got to do it for 3 years. But yeah, art is cool. Like I'm not a very good artist, but you know it's easy to enjoy, and it's never like hard work. And it's like one of those classes you can't fail. You don't got to worry about. The number 2, I've got science. Now I'll admit that at a point, science falls off. Once you get to like chemistry, that sucked. But anytime before that, like when you're going through middle school and biology and early high school, science, the odds that science class is going to be interesting and you're going to be doing something more than a worksheet is incredibly high.
Yes.
Right,
That's
like you're
the
all-
thing
Well,
about
that's true.
science. Science in middle school, I'd rank number 1, and science
Yes.
in high school, I'd rank last. So it's there. It falls. It has a huge
science in
fall
college,
off.
Theo is
science in
empathizing
college, I'd
with me
rank
right
last,
now.
too.
Yeah,
Well,
in
see,
college
I only
too. There's a
took-
point where everything gets small, and at that point, it falls off.
Oh
way
my
off.
gosh, bro!
Things start to get cellular, and
They're-
then
they're
I'm like,
like-
"You stop
Hey.
that. Let's talk about
Now
demons."
you're
They're like,
giving me
we're
bad
gonna
flashbacks.
use a 1.0 times 10 to the negative 5th moles of sodium
math at
chloride.
that point.
I'm like,
yeah, once they talk
like,
about moles,
please.
it's like that's an animal.
Once you get into the stoichiometry,
There's a point
yeah,
where in
like,
science,
come on, bro.
moles is the animal, and that's what you would talk about. Then there's a point where moles is the unit in chemistry, and there is a very distinct. That's 2 different, very distinct eras.
oh man,
So I think science, and then you've got the Bill Nye videos. I mean, I only took one science class
well past
after
those.
biology. I never took physics, so My memory for the most part was pretty great of science. But like, yeah, it's a real class. You got to try in it, and it can get a little tough. And the number one is history.
I'm
for sure.
Talk my band into playing the Bill Nye theme at Battle of the Bands.
You should do that.
It can't be that hard. It's like 90% just chanting. Isn't it only like 3 of you? I guess you don't need that many.
There's 4 of us. There's 4 of us.
Okay.
Bill.
But Matt, why is history number 1?
Yes.
Because it's just the most interesting one, man. History is cool. I don't know. Like, it's just more entertaining than talking about like numbers or like how you're talking about something that like has happened before and how like a story plays out, rather than like you're talking about how to write in English or like how to do an equation in math or even how to do something in science. But in history, you're just talking about something that has happened.
Some lore. It's some lore.
Yeah, it's some lore. It's basically lore.
And then there's like debate.
I'm taking lore class over anything. So
yeah, let me learn some lore. Yeah, I agree. I like history.
And history was never
Am I
never
the
too
only one
hard.
here that doesn't like history?
Yes, I like history. What is your ranking? Where do you rank it dead last then?
I rank science last because I've taken college science classes and I hate it.
Oh,
with a
okay.
passion.
Okay,
Because I've taken real science classes.
I'm in college.
I'm not an idiot.
Paying $60,000 a year to take college.
I'm on scholarship. I don't know what you're talking about.
All right.
They paid me this semester. What do you
Whatever,
want?
man.
All right.
Yeah. That's what I thought. No.
The teacher's paid to teach Bladen.
Wow.
No, science is last. I'm not a fan of
tutoring.
physics. I'm taking chemistry right now. I'm not a fan of it. I'm just like not interested. Like I show up, I do the work, but it's just like totally uninteresting to me. History comes in at 4, and the only reason it's above science is because of the applicability. But for me, I hate the idea of just like memorizing information and then regurgitating it on a test. Right.
Well, that's true.
That's where I'm like, bro, this sucks.
Whereas math,
Right.
you don't memorize and regurgitate on a test.
You don't.
Yes, you do. You memorize.
No, you
how to-
don't.
That's all you
all
do
you
in
do.
math.
See,
What?
this is why you're all bad at math, because that's what you think you do. Math is literally like it just makes sense.
Did you
It's
just say that I'm bad at math?
Oh, it just makes sense.
I'm just saying, like, if
You have.
Once you memorize,
You are really
all
pulling out a
the
superiority
not,
complex
there's
here.
no, it's not memorization. It's just like this. It's just
Formulas
like a
aren't memorization?
It's just a logical like process of like, oh, this makes sense, and everything like leads up to something else.
Yeah, I
are
get
you
what
talking
you're. I
about,
get
man?
you're saying that it's
Math
not
like
necessarily.
propaganda.
Like it's
Shut up.
not
Not necessa-
propaganda, but like you can like
I mean, you've ranked this class 4.
No,
and you like hate it.
math is number 1.
History's number
Oh.
4 for him.
History's
He thinks
I'm
history
sorry,
is just
I'm sorry.
regurgitating facts. Math is a process that leads to a result.
Oh, yeah.
And I guess
Yes.
I can understand that, especially once you get to the higher levels of it.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm
taking,
not
like,
bad at math.
Like,
I'm,
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to insult.
I'm about
you.
to flex my ACT scores. But
Okay.
no, I won't do that.
No, like I'm about after this podcast, I'm about to go take a graph theory exam.
Exciting.
Are you excited to apply all of your processes?
Yeah.
It's a very hard class. Like I'm not even gonna front. It's an extremely hard class,
Well,
but it's very
it's just common sense, Bladen. It's just
Yeah, you got
the way
it.
things would work.
Logically,
I expect a DM of 100 on your test. In my DMs, the second that thing is handed back with all your common sense.
It's a very
No
hard
memorization
class, but
needed.
it's a very interesting class.
No
It's
sight.
an interesting class. It's just like language is the tricky part. Is like trying to like. There's a lot of language that you have to know once you get to that level, but other than that, like getting through like high school math, it's just like equations that kind of build on each other. Number 3, so number 4 was history. Number 3 is arts. Kind of like what Matt said. It's just like
It's chill.
it's chill.
You're relaxing usually.
Yeah.
I might have overrated it at 2. I
think
think
that's- I
3
think
is
that's
It's like
valid,
it's
dude. That's
not
pretty
it's
big
not
spot.
like a super hard.
I'm about to have it at once. So
Valid.
Well, you're like a theater kid. So
Yeah.
like,
Like Ike Aquanu, he really wowed
We're
you
about
in
to
the
get into
scouting
all
report.
that, but
yeah. And then number 2 is English. I actually like don't like English as a class, but the English classes that I've had have been so fun. Just like
What?
the people that have been the people that have been in the class.
I get what he's
you
saying. I get what he's saying.
You don't love the work in it, but you have
Yes.
enjoyed the environment of it.
I have enjoyed the environment thorough. Like they have been like my favorite classes have been my math classes because of the subject matter, and my English classes because of the people, like just the environment. The teachers have always been fun. So like
Spanish class has always been booming for me.
honestly,
environment.
low key same. My Spanish class was like we were low key getting lit. Like
For sure, man.
How do you say that in Spanish? A fiesta?
bro, don't
fiesta?
ask me to say anything in Spanish. I haven't taken
Estamos
Spanish.
celebramos todos los días.
I haven't taken Spanish in like
Yes, sir.
5 years, maybe. I don't know.
All
Like, but
Where's
no, it
our
was fun.
Where's our babble?
So yeah,
What's
the
your next
ranking
one?
was it's math 1, English 2, arts 3,
Okay.
history 4, science
Okay.
5.
All right, I'll zip through mine.
It brings it to you, Theo.
That brings us to my arts number 1. Choir was my favorite class in high school. It was fun. It was so fun. All right, you're learning the music and the performances, like pre-performance, like backstage, like messing around, and post-performance, wherever. It was like the same as sports or athletics. Like if you were on a sports team, and I've been on sports teams before, it's the same thing. It's the only class where you're working together to accomplish something. It's like a unit all together. You're going out to perform somewhere. Like it was a lot of fun, and I had a lot of fun doing it. I led the all boys a cappella choir with some of my friends, and we got to pick the songs, and we met at my house every weekend, and we just like it. There is no other class that comes close in terms of like the overall camaraderie of it and the overall fun memories of being in choir in high school. So that's how
I feel with like my band and guitar club.
Yeah, right. So I'm going to be a dork and say like join choir and theater and all that, or sports.
I enjoyed choir in 8th grade.
It's a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. So I'm going to put
Yeah.
arts at number 1, and I feel like whatever arts you're in, whether that be band, which I wasn't. I helped out in band actually. I'd like if they needed a percussionist, I would like go do that for them. But I wasn't in band, but I would kind of moonlight as a band kid sometimes, which maybe
Theo's a drummer boy.
explains a lot about my lore is Theo Ash band kid arc. But I played trombone in 5th grade, but that was it. But yeah, it was just a lot of fun. So that's number 1. Number 2 is English. I love English, obviously as a journalism major. You have to love writing. You have to love taking in information and interpreting it and regurgitating that, and it was creative. Like writing fiction is some things that we did in English, which I always enjoyed. I enjoyed like poetry and just kind of being creative and writing stuff like that. I enjoyed reading. Like, again, when I look back at school, I don't remember a whole lot of like the equations or like how to balance a formula in chemistry, but I do remember a lot of the books I read, and I do remember a lot of like how I felt about them. And I like forming opinions on things more than like I think we all do in a sports journalism world or in a TikTok world, where like I just like opinions, and I like having opinions, and I like fighting about opinions and arguing. And that's something I was able to do in English, whether that be speech or I took a speech class, or having a book report and like saying what you thought of the book. I liked forming those opinions, and I liked being creative and like rationalizing those and trying to convince others of why my opinions were good, which I still like to do. So English number 2, history, I'll say number 3. It's lore class. I enjoy it. You can't quite be as creative in history as you can be in English. I think it is like a lot of worksheets and whatnot in school, and it is a lot of memorizing facts and what happened. And it's not so much, you can't really put your own spin on it because it's history, right? So that's why it's below, I think, arts and English for me, but it's still interesting. And then I'll put math number 3. It really depends on the unit and what it is. There were some times when math was the absolute worst thing, but there were plenty of times where I understood like right away what the unit was. And then after that, you're just flying through worksheets, and it is satisfying, like filling something out and really feeling confident about the material when you're in math. And then number 5, I wanted to be a scientist when I was a little kid. I wanted to just go look at like fish all day and like birds and wildlife and just be like, that's nature, that's science. But that's not really what it's about. And I learned that in high school when I learned about moles and I learned about, everything that happens in DNA transfer and mutation and what all of that is. And it just got boring real quick in high school. So I'm going to put that at number 5. And that's my list of the big 5.
The big
in
five.
In a nutshell.
All right. Well, as much as it pains me to say it, I think that wraps up our time with our good friend Nico. I don't know if I've mentioned it, but I love the banner that you have behind you. I don't know if I've mentioned
Thank
that
you.
before.
Yeah.
It's like you could do a press conference.
Oh yeah. I'm thinking I'm waiting for one of my takes to really age horribly so that I can put on a suit and give an address behind this apologizing for something.
That'll be great.
Maybe my version of the Bengals take. We'll see.
Maybe one day one of your takes will be bad, but your elite takes.
Yeah, maybe
so
elite takes never unelite.
Never missed.
The day I have an unelite take, I will stand.
What
behind
is your worst
this
take?
in a blazer.
What is your worst take of all time? What is one that constantly comes back to bite you and haunt you? Mine's obviously the Bengals take.
I mean,
do you have anything close to that kind of equivalent?
I mean, I had the Bengals at I think 4-13, and that was pretty bad. But
no
one. I guess I didn't rant the way that you did, which is probably never got as much hate for it.
I think I was the martyr for everyone who said the Bengals would be bad last year.
Yeah, you were like, this is like that meme on Twitter that it's like the Homelander meme. It's like the
yeah, I know what you're talking about.
The Bravo
I think of it as
get away with something.
This is good. I don't know why anybody would be mad at you.
I don't know. I feel like I got a crazy amount of hate for the Bengals take when a lot of people thought they'd be bad. But yeah. My worst take was doubting Jamar Chase, I think, and ranking him at wide receiver 3 and not totally seeing the vision and giving him he can't separate allegations. That's my worst. I think those were fair allegations in college. I had the same thing. I was just missed on everything 2020 Bengals related, 2021 Bengals related. But yeah, I thought the same thing about his college film where I'm like, he plays like Des Bryant, but he's 5'11", 6 foot.
He tries to be Kenny Galladay.
He'll never moss everybody Des could, and then he could. So
I remember when Kenny Galladay was the nice NFL comparison for him. That's funny now.
Yeah, it is funny now. So, anyway, I just was wondering.
Yes.
But thank you for coming on.
Yes, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you guys.
And we look forward to having you on again. Hopefully, in your case, after another Dolphins masterclass.
Oh yeah. I'll be on when we're 12-0. So
12-0.
Yeah, next year will be the Dolphins Super Bowl.
I'll be on to preview the Christmas Bowl with Theo versus the Packers.
Oh, that's true.
Is that
when
a
we're
game? Dolphins
14-0 at that point?
We're gonna be 14. Well, the Packers are gonna be 13-1 because their quarterback schedule is so easy over the next couple weeks here. So yeah, that'll be a big game. That'll be a big game.
I will.
All right, maybe I'll fly down to Miami for it. I won't do that, but thank you so much, Nico.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys.
If you watch football, you need Fubo TV. Fubo TV gives you complete coverage of college and pro football with NFL Red Zone plus games in 4K at no extra charge. Over 100 channels of live sports and entertainment for a fraction of the price of cable. Watch on all your devices and never miss a game or episode of your favorite shows with the included cloud-based DVR. Plus, there's no contract, no commitment, and you can cancel at any time. Right now, you can try Fubo TV free for 7 days and get 15% off your first month. Just go to FuboTV.com/stayhot. That's FUBOTV.com/stayhot.
But now it's time for the Stay Hot Locks. Once again, thanks to Nico for joining us once again. But Theo, you're going to have the first pick. For those that don't know what the Stay Hot Locks
Matt's going to have the first pick.
Oh, Matt has the first pick. Yes, that's right. For those that don't know what the Stay Hot Locks are, we each get to pick as many teams as we want to be guaranteed to win. If any of them lose, we get 0 points for that week. If all of them win, we get as many points as the teams we selected. And if any of them tie, you don't not get any points for the week. You just don't get points for that team. It's draft style. Matt gets the first pick. Once he picks a team to lock, neither Theo or I can pick that team to lock. So Matt, with the first pick, who are you locking this week?
Gonna go Packers over Patriots with no Mac Jones, right? Like,
That was
and I got burned on this logic a few weeks ago with Cowboys Bengals, and Dak's out. But I think I'd pick the Packers to win this game anyway, and they're just coming off a big win against the Bucks. The offense was not great in that one, but hopefully it can be a little bit better. Still am worried about the receivers, but they should be. They can't be more injured at receiver than they were last week. No.
You would think.
No, you would think not. And I think they could get this done even if they rolled out the exact same wide receiving core.
So the spread on that's probably like 10 points or whatever. So I'm taking the Packers.
I think that's fair. I guess I will take the Chargers. I think that the 15-2 road continues. We stay alive another week against the Texans, the potential 15-2 Chargers. Look, they are very hurt right now. There's a lot of injuries, but by the time next week rolls around, there's a lot of questionable players, a lot of questionable potential Pro Bowlers that could be back next week. The Texans are a terrible run defense, so I think they can get that run offense going a little bit more for San Diego. And like Davis Mills versus Justin Herbert. I get that the Texans beat them last year with a crazy rushing attack, and they rushed for like 200 yards with Rex Burkhead. But I do think the Chargers have the personnel to stop that from happening this week, even if Joey Bosa is not going to suit up, which he isn't. Maybe it's silly because of what happened last year and how injured the Chargers are now, but they've got the talent to. Like they still have the talent to beat a winless Texans team. So I am locking the Chargers.
Fair enough. I think, man, this is not an easy week for locks.
No, it's
No,
not.
it is not.
It's really
dude.
tough. And you guys took the two that I would probably take.
Took the two big ones.
The
But
two
you can't
really
not
good
pick
ones.
one. You got to at least go
No,
with
I
somebody.
know.
So who
I'm
do you
gonna
think's going to
pick
win?
one.
Take your Browns. They're playing the Falcons.
I want to pick the Browns, man.
Then
I
do.
do,
Great.
but
They're on
like-
the board.
They lost to the Jets. Okay, I can't trust them right now. This
Fair
is
weather
like
fan. That's all I have to say.
this is like this game and the Patriots game are the last two games where like we really need to win these to stay in like any type of playoff contention, because the stretch after that's really tough. But I'm not going to pick the Browns like as a guaranteed win. Even I do think they will, but I'm not going to lock it just because I'm scared. I'm going to pick the Lions to beat the Seahawks.
Yeah, okay. That's what I would have done.
Yeah. Jeff Okudah locking down Justin Jefferson. Shout out Theo's all 22 on Jeff Okudah recapping that. It's just truly phenomenal, the comeback he's made. So I think he's going to be able to do a good job on DK Metcalf. And then, just the way the Lions offense has looked, man, their offensive line has been absolutely stellar. The run game can be just a total just killer for like any team. And I don't think the Seahawks really I just don't think they have the guys to go against that offensive line and that rushing attack. Not even to mention like Amon-Ra St. Brown and the damage he can do to a defense. So I think I'm going to take the Lions against the Seahawks. I have another pick. I have another pick, but I don't think I'm going to use it. I think I'm just going to roll.
I think I've done
Detroit.
too. I think I've done too.
I'm done as well.
Yeah, I'm very interested. I'm glad you brought up DK versus Okudah. I know that we're running long, but I'm very interested to see if Okudah follows DK around. Okudah does tend to play man coverage and follow dudes around the way man coverage.
That's what he was good at Ohio State.
The way corner is supposed to be played. But he also goes for these massive jams and press coverage at the line. And it really bothered Smith and Jefferson, but they're kind of wiry, thinner guys. I wonder if he follows. DK Metcalf weighs 300 pounds, and like I will be very interested to see if that's the matchup, because he might follow Lockett around where he can continue to maybe press that way and have that bother him a little bit more.
And then they bracket
but
DK?
But I'm fascinated to see if he follows DK around and continues to play so physical against potentially the most physical wide receiver in the league. That is a really fascinating potential cornerback wide receiver matchup. And I kind of think that it'll go back and forth like Okudah's had.
It could be a fun one.
He's going to be, like I said in the videos, he's kind of this year's Trayvon Diggs a little bit, where he just kind of gambles with this crazy press coverage and jams, and he loses sometimes, but when he wins, it's sick. And PFF is ranked as like a pretty low corner, like in the 40s right now. So, which is what happened to Trayvon Diggs last year. So it'll be very interesting to watch Okudah through the course of the season, and just because of the way he plays. And DK is going to be a huge test for him potentially. So really excited to watch that matchup one-on-one. But yeah, I'm not picking anything else. That's all I got.
And Matt, you're not
anyone else.
Anyone
I'm not
else?
picking anybody else.
All right. So Matt's taking the Packers as a lock. Theo's locking the Chargers, and I am locking the Detroit Football Lions, the new America's team. But that pretty much wraps things up for us. Again, make sure you watch Theo's All 22 on Jeff Okudah if you want some more information on what we just talked about. Matt, you did a video on, what was it, the biggest problem for every NBA team.
Right. Yeah.
Make sure you watch that. And then I have a Madden video coming out. We're going to do a game with Baker Mayfield on the Seattle Seahawks. We'll see how that goes. But until all that comes out, thank you all for tuning in. And as always, from Corn Boy, Bird Boy, and Lemon Boy, we will catch you all on the flippity flop.